Hey guys, this is Jay Calder of JAYONBOXING here giving you a preview and prediction for Chris Billam-Smith versus Richard Riakporhe. And as always, this is just my take, of course. Your predictions, your thoughts, all that good stuff can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. And a little bit of fight info here. This is Chris Billam-Smith taking on Richard Riakporhe. This is actually a rematch to their initial encounter in 2019. This will be at the Selhurst Park football ground in Crystal Palace, London, England, airing on Sky Sports in the UK and Peacock in the United States in the Cruiserweight division, with Billam-Smith's WBO version of the title on the line. So it's maybe just a bit of an under-the-radar fight for us here in the United States, but I think a very interesting cruiserweight clash on the domestic front for England with obvious world implications as CBS's world title is on the line. The pair faced off on the come-up as a pair of unbeatens back in July of 2019. Riakporhe won that one. However, he enters as the challenger in this one. Much is on the line now, of course. Domestic bragging rights, a world title, unification bouts in the future, all that kind of stuff is there for the winner. But before we get to the pick, let's look at some of the bigger questions we might have heading into this contest. For starters, who has improved more since that first bout? I would argue both have improved. Billam-Smith is a bit more poised and certainly has invaluable experience at the highest levels of the division. He's also defeated the better names. However, Riakporhe was already good enough to defeat Billam-Smith the first time and has improved himself. He moves a bit better, is a bit looser, and that does wonders for a power puncher. As is always the case, of course, in a rematch, it's about who can continue from that first fight what they did well and what they've learned since that first fight, and who can implement both the best on the night. I would also wonder, does Chris Billam-Smith have that championship bump? You know, you always hear that a champion can improve X% with the title. It adds a certain level of confidence and experience to their game. I think that holds some weight. At the same time, I think Chris Billam-Smith struggled a bit against Matthias Masterneck in his first defense of the gold that he won from Lawrence Okoli. So was he underestimating him? Was it a tricky style matchup? What might it have been? Or is he simply a limited fighter that might still struggle with what Riakporhe brings to the table? You have to wonder if he's really going to get that bump, or if he might just be a fighter that caught Okoli at the right time and is walking into another losing effort with Riakporhe. And finally, I would ask, where does the winner and loser go? This is always an interesting one, but cruiserweight makes it all the more intriguing to me. If you minus Jayapataya, the cruiserweight king, so to speak, cruiserweight is an open division. While not the biggest names, there are a few solid fights to be made that might be a bit hard to predict. Funny enough, the loser still has a few options at 200 pounds, maybe as much as the winner because of how wide open the division is. You could work back up to a title shot, of course, against someone like a Gilberto Ramirez, for example, in his version of the title. You could even do that against an Arsene Goulamirian, the man that Ramirez beat for the gold in the first place. Of course, the winner has Ramirez as a possibility as well, or even a returning Okoli if he gets back down below 200 pounds. The question is, will either want the Opataya fight, and do they have a shot? How the winner performs in this one could give us clues to what that answer might be, but either way, both actually have some pretty decent options in the division. So, all that said, let's get into the pick and break this one down. Okay, starting off with the champion here in Billam-Smith, and I think you want to make yourself busier. Riakporhe's goal is to try and fight at a slow, measured pace until he is in control. He's a power puncher. It makes sense that that would be his goal, which is why you need to disrupt that with some activity. That does not mean throwing everything at him all at once and trying to throw everything with power. In fact, power shouldn't be your play. You should look to simply work him over with volume. Work your way inside, using some feints and trying to incorporate some more movement here and there. At your best, you get in and out pretty well and should utilize that in this contest. Once you get inside, you need to work. Don't allow Riakporhe to tie you up. Don't get too close that your work is smothered. Simply try to get close enough to land those combinations, then move out of the way of the return and reset. Again, it doesn't have to be flurry after flurry, but you definitely need to build into the fight and get busier as the rounds progress. I would also say double up the jab. One way you can get inside just a bit is by jabbing, particularly by doubling it up if you're Billam-Smith. You can use it to keep that distance and back Riakporhe up a bit, then step in with some harder shots and especially those combinations I mentioned. That jab can stop Riakporhe from closing distance and landing one of his own bigger blows. It also stops him from stepping in as easily and smothering your work. It holds him a bit at guard for longer stretches. If you get Riakporhe stepping back more consistently, you have more of a chance of stepping into your own work and landing with more authority. Even more simply put, that jab can help set up the power backhand you throw as well. It also is a shot that keeps you busy, that doesn't require a ton of energy, or at least not as much as the full arsenal might. You can set the tempo much better by pumping out that jab than stepping in and letting your combinations go. So pump out that jab, double it up when possible, and set up the power punches as well as the busier work inside. And finally for Billam-Smith, take that step back. Now, while I do believe you want to get busy and use that jab to get inside to do so, as mentioned, you want to be able to give yourself enough space to get work done without being smothered. One simple enough way of doing that is by taking a quick step back, a half step, and throwing when Riakporhe is trying to step in and close distance or tie you up and cling to you. That half step back can also allow for you to not tire as quickly as you have in certain fights. Not letting another 200+ pound fighter cling to you as much as you have in the past can allow for you to preserve more energy and maintain any good work you get going early. Once you get that timing down, you can also use that to throw bigger counter blows as Riakporhe steps in himself. That can help settle him down and allow you to dictate the tempo of the contest much better. So make sure you make yourself busier, work in that double jab to create space and land combinations inside, and then maintain that distance with a half step back that will allow for him to walk into bigger shots. Now switching over to the challenger, for Riakporhe to win, you want to pile on the power. Riakporhe is a power puncher, but he can't just rely on single shots. Both have gotten a bit better since their first encounter, so you have to add a bit more sophistication to your work on the night. You want a jab to set it up, use some head movement, and step to the side to get those big blows in when CBS may expect the shots less. They will also have a much better chance of landing and having success in hurting Billam-Smith with those kinds of punches. As you get those bigger blows going, especially the straight right hand, then you can start pouring on more of the heavier artillery, especially if you're getting Billam-Smith backing up a bit more in a straight line. When on the inside, do what you did in the first bout. Lean on him, make it a bit ugly. As he tires out, those bigger shots have even more chance of landing in a significant way when his defense dips and he gets a bit more tired. So make sure you find better ways to step up that power, get that big right hand down the middle going, and tire him out on the inside to make yourself have an easier target. I would also say don't neglect the left. As mentioned, you definitely want to get that right hand going. However, I do believe the left hand will play a big part in this fight for Riakporhe if he is to have some success. For one, you don't want to be a one-trick pony. You have to incorporate the left regardless, especially in your case as you can throw a very solid chippy left hook on the inside. That works well as you're getting in closer and making it rough. The left might also occupy Billam-Smith enough to get him to lean to the other side and line himself up for that right hand. If he's not leaning away from it, then you have a better chance of landing the left anyway, so regardless, it can lead to success. You, of course, can also use that left as a jab. That will push him back, set him up. You have a decent jab when you throw it, and you put some power behind it, so it certainly will score as well. The jab works wonders when you throw it that way. And considering you can be a little bit tight sometimes, the jab makes it easier to loosen up and get your work in a bit better, so be sure to get that left hand going all around. And finally, finish the fight strong. If your work is getting in with that left hand, setting up that right hand, you should be in prime position to finish the fight strong, and that will be vital in this contest. You have to remind Billam-Smith of that first encounter and how you piled up points in that fight. You need to drag him into deeper water and start drowning him in that second half. The power blows will land more and have a bigger impact if you're draining his energy, both physically and mentally. Don't be overly aggressive to the point you make mistakes, but don't let Billam-Smith off the hook. As the challenger, you don't want to leave questions in those final rounds. As they pass, you certainly want a solid start, but you want to ramp up the intensity and everything else in those latter frames. So you definitely want to get that power home by adding a few wrinkles. Make sure to incorporate that left hand and finish the battle strong by increasing the intensity as the fight wears on. Well, this is a nice close fight in my opinion, but in terms of my pick here, I'm leaning towards the challenger and Riakporhe pulling it off. I do believe Billam-Smith has improved since their fight back in 2019, but so has Riakporhe. He will be more calm, more measured, and land the bigger blows early enough to take control. Once the right hand down the middle and the left hook start landing up top and to the body, I think, Billam-Smith will back away too often in those straight lines and let the fight slip away. Billam-Smith might try to push late, but I think Riakporhe lands the more telling shots and closes out the fight the stronger of the two. Winner, Richard Riakporhe via unanimous decision. Now, in terms of the betting odds here, we have Billam-Smith coming in as a minor underdog at plus 175 with Riakporhe at minus 230. Of course, have not been able to find any over-unders just yet. When I do, I will post them down and pin it as the top comment in the comments section below. Regardless, in terms of the pick here, I like the Riakporhe bet, maybe even as a parlay or something like that. Certainly some liveliness in these lines one way or the other, but personally that would be the line that I maybe would look at, is maybe Riakporhe paired with something else. But in any event, whoever you happen to think wins this fight, you're getting relatively decent odds considering it's a close pick'em encounter, at least on paper. In any event, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 30-10 with 15 exact, but let me know your thoughts, your bets, all that good stuff down in the comments section below. And of course, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, and check out the social media here. And be sure to visit JAYONBOXING.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, all that good stuff. And as always, until next time.